Start it off. Good one. Okay, so this is just a real improv video. We've got a whole bunch of crew together on one particular day. You're about to fly overseas. Yep. You're about to go back to New South Wales. And Queensland. Queensland. And we thought we'd have a quick chat about Gen2. Everyone in this room has used Gen2. Everyone in this room has also used Gen1. And I think we're all pretty familiar with foil drive in general. But again, this discussion is to help the listener who's trying to make their mind up as to which way to go. Maybe there'll be something that one of us says that resonates with you and you go, cool, that's my decision, I'm going to go with that unit. Or it might change your mind, you'll go with a different one. But again, this is just a super improv, real simple discussion, chit-chat about what we've come up with and what might help you make a decision or not.
Because there's a real varied range of riding styles here and levels. Yeah. Unfortunately, it seems to be going around the table from top to bottom in this direction. But what can we do?
That's a good point. We all come from radically different backgrounds, but I think it's probably worth introducing ourselves. No one knows you.
I'm Dominic. I have been living in Oman. I've been using Foil Drive and the Gen2 stuff for how long? About
longer than anyone else outside of Foil Drive.
Gen2 stuff, what, over a year?
Something like that.
Yeah, over a year, and obviously the Assist and Assist Plus literally from the very word go.
Yeah.
What do you weigh?
82 kilos, 85 with neoprene.
And how old are you?
I'm a little bit older than everybody else around the table, I
think. Cool. Paul Martin, founder, CEO of Foil Drive. I invent the foil drive, so pretty across the whole thing. 96 kilos, not proud of it.
But most of that is brain mass.
96 kilos. You look good though. And yeah, I've ridden everything from day one. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Travis Murphy, I'm 81 kilos. I've basically been in water sports for the last 20 years, ridden everything from kites, SUP, foil, downwinding, the whole lot. And now I'm on the Gen2s.
Yeah, and you were there early on with the foil drive too.
Absolutely, I remember trying your original one down at U-turns.
Yeah. The original McCoys.
How many years ago was that?
2.5.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
I'm Dave West, I'm 95 kilos. I am a wedding singer and an influencer like Dom. And I've been on the Foil Assist Plus mainly lately with all my endeavours, and I've ridden the Gen2 for probably about a week.
Yeah.
Sort of
new to it.
New to all together.
Cool.
But yeah. But you also have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, YouTube channel. What's it called? Dave West Foils and... I don't know what the other one's called.
Another foiling podcast.
Oh, that's it. Another foiling podcast. So.
But you've been on the Assist Plus for a considerable amount of time now.
Pretty much 5 to 7 times a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but check out the podcast because it's actually quite good and people do listen to it. Yeah. And it's got some really cool guests on it. So
and we'll have discussions about this as well.
Yeah.
In long form.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Awesome. I am Jamie Wise and I have been working with Foil Drive for quite a long time, and we were the first to develop this sort of like pro system. Like we were developing.
Yeah.
The first ever one was resin printed, and since then 2 years we've been smashing it out, getting this epic system on the road.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. I've been developing it, helping build prototypes, doing all that, and often distance I do surf foiling and SUP downwinding foiling.
What's your weight?
80 kilos.
And yours was the same as me.
Yep, 96.
96, 81.
Yeah.
82.
82.
So 80. I'm roughly.
So we're all
but you're
reasonable.
a fit 80.
And young.
Very fit, very
and
agile.
young, 21.
And just for the camera and people listening, calibre of riders, pretty good crew here with Team Access Rider, Access Rider, and also yourself. Me and Trav don't have sponsorship, but
we've got enough toys.
You just started your
we
own
just
company.
sponsor ourselves.
We're fully sponsored ourselves.
Or by each other, you could say.
Yeah.
To set the tone,
Yeah.
most people in this room can foil either really well or are quite competent.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we all haven't started from total ground zero, noob spec.
Yeah.
So breach a lot, just yep. We've all started there, and I think that helps with our opinion to be able to say X, Y, Z would be good if you're in this category, but right up to like proper high-end foiling categories where you're pushing even the latest foils.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, I think we launch into it.
Paul, we've both snapped a couple foils in our time, haven't we?
To extreme, right?
A couple.
Yes. You've literally broken foils
Yes, I have.
on foil.
And masts.
So
And I've done a couple masts too. I've
Yeah.
cracked just the gel coat. I haven't actually snapped a carbon mast, but I have
yeah. So
Push
that
into
will
that
come into
limits.
context later when we ask Jamie's opinion of what he rides. Pushes things.
Oh yeah. I mean, in terms of product testing, if you want something thrashed to the point of
Break.
can it be broken, it gets given to him, and he puts it through its paces. It really does.
Yeah. I think so. Kick it off. Gen 2 has just been launched. You're probably watching this video because you've got to the point where you're like, I want to know more, because the initial brochures or information released isn't deep enough in detail. So we're going to try and do that here without waffling on too long. So yeah, I think let's call it how it is. We've got the Assist Max and the Assist Slim. They're the two core product choices, and hopefully it was well established enough in the material that the Assist Max comes with the sports nose cone and the power nose cone. So you get the two different nose cone offerings, and the same goes for the Assist Slim, where you get the performance nose cone and the endurance nose cone. So there's 4 different nose cones, 4 different batteries, and when you mix and match different batteries and different systems, you can kind of have 4 different use cases, I suppose. And the range wasn't developed by mistake. There's good reason to have 4 different batteries, 4 different nose cones with 2 different systems. We're trying to give more riders more choice without the expense of having to have 4 different systems. It's only 2 systems, but 4 different batteries. It's a bit like changing wings.
Yeah.
Changing wings, changing mast, and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, you've been riding the longest. What's your, I suppose if I was to lead a question, what's your suggestion to someone who is new to foiling? What would you tell them to pick and why?
Oh, the new to foiling, without a shadow of a doubt, it's got to be the Max.
Yeah.
Absolutely, every single
I think we'll
time.
agree on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think the first thing I want to say about them is that it's not as clear cut as people might think as to what the Max and what the Slim are capable of.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to look at the Slim and be sort of overexcited that that's the one for the best performance for everything. It is, but also the Max is equally as capable of the highest level of performance. It can do a lot more than the Slim, but the Slim is better than the Max in certain situations.
And I think to unpack that, if the original question, if you're not getting too off topic, is if you're
That's how my dog.
if you're learning to foil, we've all been there. You're relying more on the motor and more on the power of the system to just accelerate you straight into having fun. You're never going to outperform this if you're learning to foil.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think to make that clear, when I say outperform, be at a position where you're somewhere like Jamie or Dave, where you guys can really push the foils pretty damn hard, and those extra kilo or 2, the 20 mil reduction in height from this to this, you can genuinely put your hand on your heart, so I can notice it, and I can appreciate the difference.
Yeah.
But there's not that many people that really, the volume of people that foil, I think should be worrying about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, complete opposite end of the spectrum. Like if you were to say if I had to throw to yourself, Trav, if you're a competent foiler, you know how to foil, you're not just breaching all the time, you're actually riding waves or winging or whatever. We'll leave downwinding separate, I think.
Yeah.
If you're a competent foiler and you were only choosing it based on, you just couldn't make a decision to go in either direction, where would you... Because I think we sit in the category, we're competent foilers.
Yeah, competent foiler. We can do pretty well everything out there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that big a deal. But if you're unsure of what to go, I would always go the max, to be honest, because that it's going to do absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And normally I would go the biggest battery as well, because it's the longest amount of run time. There's a little bit more weight, but you got to get, like, we're out in the water and we can get an hour surfing waves, our style.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But God, it's so hard.
It is very hard.
It's so hard. Like people go, an hour, that's not very long. It's like,
a long time.
Let me put that into perspective.
It's an hour of foil.
That is an hour of non-stop foiling.
Yeah.
Most people's legs fatigue, give out before they end, whatever. Like the Assist Plus, we used to go out for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the only reason it'd be 2 hours is because we would come off foil and we would then idle back out to the lineup and we would wait for the next good wave.
Yeah.
We literally don't wait for anything now. It's peel off, zoom straight back out. Put it in. So if you were to use the Max and the power battery in the same way you're accustomed to riding the Plus, you'd be out there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
If you're riding the Plus on the Max with the Max battery, 5 hours?
Easy 4 or 5 hours.
Well, you give up before the battery gets
Yeah. And I think that's why this video is important, is people will take a snip of information and go, oh, I heard you can stay on foil for an hour. So does it only run for an hour? No. You could make it run for 4 or 5 hours if you're using it to idle out and then only to catch the wave.
Yeah.
I would really like to see someone do it. How long can I foil for?
It would be ridiculous. You need to take a camel pack for drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So again, it's like, Jesus, the foiling's full of that though. It's like, which is the best wing? My God, how long is a piece of string? Like, where do you even start?
Depends what day it is.
Yeah.
I think which is the best wing is the most common question we get.
Yeah.
And so often people underestimate the size of wing they should be on.
Yeah.
And I think people might do that with this. They might go, oh, I can go the slim. But actually most people, unless you are consistently able to link 5 to 10 waves consistently, you should still go the max. I'd say the slim is a very unique use case.
To get the benefit out of it.
Yeah.
You have to be
working.
I think you have to be a caliber of rider that's already quite good, but to then really appreciate how you can link heaps of waves now, and you can get up on smaller foils and you can drop in on massive waves like Jamie does. Like that's where this really shines, and it does it so well. But you don't have to. You could be an average foiler and then have an amazing time on this, because you might say, I'm more than happy to use boost, catch the wave, peel off, and pump as much as I can, and then if I come off foil, I'm not going to just hit the gas and keep going. I will just idle back out like you do. How long do you get off a slim?
Oh yeah, exactly. Your exact point is, I can kick off, pump a bit, then drop down and paddle if I don't feel like pumping, and catch a wave and just keep doing that for like over an hour. I've been out for like a couple hours on the endurance battery. No problem. Just because I'm easy on my battery.
I remember you went out in the endurance. And you're out there for 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. I was out there for longer than you guys.
Yeah, and I'd already gone in.
Cruising back out, back out.
We've gone through 2
catch a wave, do it again.
That's that hybrid approach. You're using it as a hybrid system.
Well, yeah, I'm sort of using it as just the assist.
It's an assist.
Just to catch the wave, really, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then you guys with the hybrid,
just doing laps,
just cutting laps all the time, and you guys are just chewing through this big battery. But
the hybrid, to be clear, is like, I coined it hybriding because I couldn't think of a better word. Like you boost, get up, catch wave, ride wave, peel off, drop pod back in, and just hit gas,
scoot,
and just foil straight back out over the waves. Flick onto the next one, ride that wave, and that's that non-stop continuous loop where when we're running the smaller foils, because we're constantly pushing to smaller and smaller foils and smaller boards, that's when you're using more power. That's where you can do like an hour non-stop looping, which is just hard to beat for fun.
Well, I just want to add to that yes, the slim is the better choice if all you want to do is what Jamie's just described. Use it as an assist to get you on foil, and then you are pumping via muscle power to get out the back, or just paddling lying on the board.
With idle of like 20% or something like that, 25, 30.
But you can still do that with the Max.
Oh, for sure.
I don't want people to think that you can't do that with the Max. With the sport battery especially, it hardly affects your pumping at all. I can even pump with the power battery. The extra weight, it does mean to say that you have to put a little bit more effort in and you can't pump for quite as long. But you can still pump even small foils with the Max. I just wanted to make sure that people are aware that it's not just restricted to the slim.
And I think we get super critical on the gear and ourselves too, because we're so used to it now. Like, I love to put things back into perspective. I used to ride 118 litre 6 foot sub.
Yeah.
Like, that was my go-to. Because for the Generation 1, that wasn't really super easy to put on things much smaller than that. And you can kind of do it, but that used to be my go-to, is this massive sub. Now my go-to is anywhere from 35 to, let's say, 50 litre prone board scenario. So the board's well under half the original size and volume. And I can tell you, it's a lot easier to pump a small prone board with a Max on than it was to pump a sub with nothing on, you know. And so it's like, again, bring it back into context. We get so picky, and we're pretty. I think we're critical on the gear because that's just who we are.
Snobbish almost.
And sport for choice.
Sport for choice, and most people get on and just like you could double the weight and be like, how freaking good is this? You know. But yeah, whilst the camera was off, we were talking about the slim. Well, Jamie was talking about the slim.
So what I was going to mention was actually something that you just discussed last time we were talking, was that the slim with the endurance battery is the same power output, if not more, than the Assist Plus with the medium battery. So it's much different form factor, and like technically it's the same cell size and everything, but it's a whole different form factor and everything sort of changed, but it does still give you the same experience.
Because that's the 28 volt architecture.
Yes.
Whereas the Slim Performance, which is super confusing because it's even smaller, that's the 40 volt architecture. 40 volt architecture. Performance, 28. And people go, why would you do that? To make anything fit the Slim, there's only certain cell configurations that are possible. I'm not going to go into that, it just is. But it's interesting because I normally ride the Max, but I went out the other day on the Slim, did a few batteries at our local surf spot, Yui's, and I tried to simulate a customer that's more wanting to do the prone style. And on a small prone board, smaller wing, and put the Slim on, I actually had to turn it down, even with the endurance battery, which is lower output, because I'm so used to taking off on waves well before they form, like swell lumps, you know, or downwind where it's not really like a thing. I actually had to turn it down because I had too much thrust, and I'm 96 kegs. So anyone that's less power to weight, you know, the lighter you are, the more powerful it is. So it really comes back to like how you intend to use it, and that's where you do so well with it, because you're using it more in the purest traditional way of a din assist. You get so much more runtime because you're only using it for that take on point.
Exactly right. Like a lot of crew for the hybrid sort of deal, you can get up on the flat. It doesn't matter. Like you don't really mind. But when you're doing a prone spec, like into a wave, you're using a lot of the wave energy to catch that wave. So you really only need a small portion of either of these batteries to actually get you going, and you get going a lot of times with either of them. So it's really, really good.
You're starting to do like aerial jumping off waves and getting air on the Slim, which is hilarious to watch.
Like wing slides and stuff,
Yeah.
trying to get that sort of going. But
Yeah.
yeah. We'll work some good
Just pulled you in
videos.
the shop.
Is it better
No, all good. But yeah, seriously, like this, the endurance battery, to give it some perspective, is somewhat close to the medium battery of the Assist Plus.
Yeah. But just leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
You can't really put too much comparison together, can you?
Yet the little Slim Performance, this very small, unassuming little battery,
seemingly smaller and
Huge
less.
amount of power.
has
It's
way
got
more thrust.
so much more power.
So much more.
But it's shorter duration.
Shorter runtime for sure. So is this a good time for us to basically, in turn, each of us say when we would use the Slim and when we would choose
All right.
to use the Max
Keep
instead?
it. All right.
Sure.
Go around the circle with just what we think about the Slim,
Okay.
and then we'll do
So
it for the
name the
Max.
discipline, name what you'd use,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and rough foresight.
And I think try and keep it to within a minute with 30 seconds of each one or something like that. Not to prattle on like me.
All right.
Off you go.
Me. Okay. Right. So, I would use the Slim performance battery simply as an assist to get me up on foil, whether I'm prone surfing, whether I'm wing foiling, and sometimes for downwinding. Now, most of the time for downwinding, I'm preferring the Max because I want that safety net of extra run time.
Yeah.
But there are occasions, depending on the distance and the conditions, where I would choose the Slim.
Yep.
Also for flat water pumping. If all I want to do is just pure flat water pumping and no continual motoring around, then this is amazing because it's got so much punch. I can get up with a tiny board, obviously a big foil for flat water pump practice, and I can pump around until my legs go, then they come down wherever I am, it doesn't matter, have a little rest, and then I know I can get back up for a lot of get-ups.
Yeah.
Chasing wakes to thieve them, ride them, I can ride that wake for much further than I would normally dare to because I know that I can get back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the performance battery, but the endurance battery I still really like because it gives me for prone foiling, prone surfing, it gives me that little bit of the option of doing some hybrid motoring around, so a mixture of pumping and hybrid motoring to link waves.
Yeah.
And for me, my pump game isn't as good as Jamie's or as good as Dave's. So although I like to pump to link waves, I know that for me it's very limited in the amount of waves that I can link by muscle power only. So I would definitely, if I'm doing that, and using the Slim, I would definitely choose the endurance battery so I can do a little bit of hybrid motoring to supplement my leg power.
Good answer. For me, the Slim, I actually aspire to be able to doing downwinders on the Slim. At the moment, I rely on the Max only because I know I'm going to get to the finish. I've never ever run out of battery. I never had an issue getting up, and I've always had fun. I've never had one miserable downwinder. But one day I want to be able to put the Slim on with the performance. I'm not going to use the endurance because I'm going to get to a point where I know the performance will get me up on those smaller foils and the smaller boards. But if I can get from A to B and only need to use the motor like 10 or 15 times, then that's great. I use it way more on this. For a 15, 20k run, I'm using it quite frequently. Only because I haven't had that, heaps of experience to link waves seamlessly. You make that wrong choice. Oh, I'm over this fat chunky bit. And instead of coming off foil, drop pod in, hit boost, meep, link on the next bit and keep going. I do actually really enjoy riding this on the smaller breaks that we have locally, where the distance between the shoreline and where you're catching the waves is only like 250 metres. And you can get up real easy and you can foil really, do the many turns as you can, come off, and I do try and pump and link, and I can't really do that many of them. But to go in shore and just go click, nose cone off, clonk, slide another battery in, drink of water and go straight back out again, it's trivial. So I do actually enjoy using this. I just have 3 batteries on shore. I want to go out for a few hours. And I can get an hour foil session because I'm not linking waves constantly.
Yeah.
And I have a great time on it. I don't think I'd use the endurance much, only because I'm heavy. I need the horsepower that these two and the performance gives me to get me up out the water, because I'm now always riding small boards. And I'm always riding smaller wings, which just means I have to put more emphasis on making the assist unit do more work. So therefore I need the extra grunt. The only time I'd use the endurance in the slim was when I was trying to do that more traditional prone surfing. But I only did that to try and have more relevance when I'm talking about it, because I have no interest in doing that. I want to just get up early and just ride. And I don't want to ride other waves that other people are on. I want to ride my own waves when no one else is on. The only other people out there are other foil drivers, and we're all having fun anyway, so that's me on slim.
For me with a slim, I'd be running the performance battery nearly in every discipline. I'd always use the slim when I'm on a stand-up paddleboard downwinding with the slim, just because I can run small wing sizes and get away with it. And you lose a lot of the weight. Probably the other time I'd be running it is when I'm winging in really light winds, just to get up. And you've got that boost to get up, because 90% of the time it's the being stuck to the water on your board, can't getting up. That's the hassle. And if anything goes wrong, you can motor back in. So that's really the only time I'll use the slim.
The other one thing I just remembered, slim performance is really good for wake thieving on a river. Because you only need it, I don't know, we should count this, but you could probably get up out of the water 15, 20 times, let's say, I don't know, something like that, if you're efficient. You're not just flailing around.
Depends on your board and your foil size.
Yeah, but let's say you can.
But
And we were foiling behind a big wake boat the other day. We were on foil behind the boat for like 25, half an hour per time, and you're done. Your legs are going to get tired. So like for wake thieving, it's awesome too, because you can get up and then chase boat. Or if you're using the big one.
And then just hope the boat comes back the other way.
We were using the big one, but we were coming in with so much unused capacity. Again, that's not a problem, but I think that was the only one I forgot. What about you, Dave? Having not a huge amount?
Yeah, so I think in a month, because we're sort of a month pre-launch, so I'll have these for the next month, and then I'll get some thoughts out more. But I'm happy as a prone surfer to use the wave still, probably the way you are, to get up. I don't mind sitting in the water waiting for a set and then being on foil for however long, 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it might be, using that, but mainly pumping. Because I really like that. So I reckon for me it'll end up being the slim performance battery if I'm using the slim for prone, and very much so I'm expecting, we'll see what happens, that I'll be using that as my downwinder as well. Yeah,
but you're very good at downwinding, so you...
Yeah, I don't use it at all when I downwind, other than yesterday, which we might talk about. So like my normal run, I'll do 12Ks. I'll like on a foil assist plus, I will motor out just with the boys, get up, and I won't use any battery whatsoever. That's normal for me.
And that's a crucial point, because you're at that level of foiling. Once you're up, you don't need it many more times. So carrying all the extra capacity is just not necessary.
No.
But people have to get to that point.
But then if it was dodgy conditions,
we do have builders here increasing the size of this building.
I'm also fussy. I'm fussy about the conditions. So if it was windy and onshore like waves, you'd want the max.
That's a good point.
Then you can go into the wind, or you want to do up and down winders, which I'm gonna do.
Yeah, good
I'll
call.
have both.
Cool. I think we'll talk about that next time we go around.
Yeah,
with the
sorry.
maxes,
And
Well, yes, it appears Paul and I are completely opposites when it comes to this. As Dave said, yes, we do like to surf foil just with a board. So for me, I just like the endurance battery. It doesn't have a super great amount of power in comparison to the 40 volt system, but it still has plenty to chip into waves. Like, oh my gosh, the amount of times you just get like launched out. So yeah, I use that one, try and put myself in the best part of the wave anyway, even though you don't really need to. So that gets me into almost every surf foiling wave you ever really dream of. And it really does cram the biggest amount of battery into such a slim little setup. So for performance, you do get a little bit more weight, but I feel like you get better performance even with the weight, with this endurance and slim. So that's my typical go-to for surf foiling, downwinding. I don't need the power, I just need the runtime just to keep going as long as I like. And the only time I reckon I go for the performance battery is maybe if we're doing a video or something where I've got to pull all the stops out and really get some fancy stuff going on. So yeah, I reckon these two for just cruising around every day, foiling for me, and then the performance when something special needs to happen.
And again, you're very good at everything you do in the water, so you make that battery and that system work very efficiently.
Yeah, efficiently is...
And you don't need the power that thing actually produces. Whereas if you're less efficient at foiling and you need to supplement your, not so much lack of spirit, but you just might be running a really small board and a really small wing.
Yeah, well, exactly.
That can just offset that.
I would be running a similar foil to what I would normally run anyway.
Because you're already at the limit.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but like for something when you're paddling, a lot of the problem is like trying to put yourself in the right part of the lineup. And I think that's something that we haven't really touched on yet is it's amazing how much effort is required to paddle sideways to get to the right part of the wave, to get to the part that's breaking. And you can just zip there quickly with like 30% throttle. Boom, you're in the right part of the wave. And then you just turn and then you just catch the wave.
Yeah.
So it might be easy for me to say sure, but like if you put yourself in the right part of the wave, you don't need all the battery, and that's what you were saying before.
Yeah.
So this gets me by at 80 kilos with a relatively small board and foil.
Yes.
Pretty mint.
I think that's a really good point because
postage stamp.
The 4'4" board. It's too small.
Your level is so good. You can read the conditions. You know exactly where to go to be able to take off in the pocket or wherever you want to be. I don't have that skill. I can't read the waves as well as you. So that's why I prefer, for prone surfing, I prefer the extra power from the performance because I don't need to be in the pocket. I can just be well away from the shoulder. I still catch it super easy, and then I like pump or just let the wave catch up with me, and then I'm doing what I enjoy doing, and I can do reasonably well riding the waves. But the hardest bit for me is getting on foil, and that just makes it so easy.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier.
And I'm using the performance to offset my weight disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're riding similar foils.
Exactly. And
so then and that's why I'm doing that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well rounded. Yeah. And again, I think one of the biggest caveats is how you choose to use it will make a big difference. We are pushing the boundaries of catching waves where no one normally even considers them a wave. I think that has to be fully understood. We are catching lumps and waiting for them to turn into waves, but because we've got so much speed and inertia, we're still enjoying them as their seas swell before it even gets close to becoming a wave.
And on foils that are so much smaller than I could ever use without a system like this. I mean, when we're talking about foil sizes, even from using the Assist Plus, I'm now able to use foils that are definitely one, if not two sizes smaller than I would be able to normally. Yeah,
I would agree. And we don't like to foil. I don't like to foil in crowds.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't be bothered. There's too many people everywhere else, and there's so many good waves that go completely unused because you can't get on them any other way. I think that wraps up. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just replace me with a Mac, so I've got to go.
Yeah. This is a real video.
Yeah,
real people, so you've got to go.
I've got to go, yes.
Pick up a child.
To give us your thoughts on the Macs before you go?
Yeah. All right. Well, basically for me, I use the Macs pretty well in every condition. Like last night, we went out for a prone downwinder. It was 25 knots. I was on a 5.5, 50 litre board with a lift 120, which is 770 square centimetres, which I never thought I'd be able to get going in my life. And I could get up on the flat.
Yeah.
And we just did 12 Ks, still had 70% battery left.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just had a bloody freaking ball the whole time.
Yeah.
It was like just downwinding on a surfboard. It was
Very hard to catch you.
Yeah.
You were gone.
I did a lot of stopping and waiting. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Freaking missile.
Oh, look, it's so good. Like, the Max is, if you're unsure about what unit to go to, it's the easiest just to go to the biggest.
Yeah.
Like, it does everything. Even the biggest battery, you're not going to get, I hate to say, you're not going to get bias regret with that. It can do everything.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. That's
So, yeah.
I don't want people to worry that the Max is going to impede their performance.
No, definitely. Oh, God,
Yeah.
no. And you kind of get drunk with power.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
That's
It's addictive.
It's a very addictive. But, yeah.
Go get to your offspring.
Yes, time to get swimming lessons.
You can probably shuffle up now.
Yeah, shuffle.
And then there were 4.
And there was 4.
Alrighty, bro. Have a good one.
See you tomorrow.
All right.
We're better off without him anyway.
Well, Dominic, what's your take on the Max?
On the Max, right. This would be my choice for sure if I was only able to have one. And all of us, we are spoilt in being able to use either system whenever we want, really.
True.
Now, to pick up on something that Trav just said, he used the Lift 120 for the first time, prone downwinding yesterday. And it was the right choice. I think that he, even though having 70% of the battery left, he could clearly have used the Slim. But what the Max does is it gives you that safety net of, if you're choosing a smaller foil or a different setup that you've never used before, and you're in any doubt whatsoever of will I have enough battery power to make it, the Max will give you that battery power that you need to make it.
Yeah.
And the impact on your performance between the two is negligible. It really is. Most people will not notice it.
Yeah.
It's only, I think, when you get to Jamie's standard and above that you will notice the difference between the two in 99% of
I think
your
it's notice
riding.
and appreciate the difference. Like, I struggle to appreciate the performance difference this can give me, because my foiling is not like yourself or you guys, where you're ripping turns and wingtips going out everywhere and just laying into massive turns. I'm just not at that level yet, so I don't actually fully appreciate the benefit that would give me in those few small instances. And hence
The times when I use this, I love it, but it does restrict me in terms of what you and I are now completely addicted to, which is spending time on foil non-stop. It really is addictive. I mean,
it's a weird dichotomy, isn't it?
Yeah.
We literally spend more time above the surface of the water than we do
Your
in the
hair
water.
dries.
way more.
100%. I've jumped off a few times and it got hot.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what discipline it is, I will have fun on this, and there's no doubt that if I had to have one, it would be the Max. For wing foiling, yes, I would definitely use the sport battery, but I
That's a good point, yeah.
I do use the power if it's the only one that's available to me, and still have an awesome time. For prone foiling, prone surfing, I don't think it impedes my performance when I'm actually surfing the wave. I can notice the difference for when I'm pumping. The Slim is definitely easier to pump for long distances, but I can still get my fix of pumping and feel like I'm, participating in all the parts of the foiling, of the sport that I really enjoy doing. And pumping is a part of that, and I would never want to ride a system that doesn't let me do that. Flat water pumping, like I say, and like you've said for wake foiling as well, it's absolutely superb for it. It excels at everything, literally. And it's just about that ability to pull the trigger whenever you need it, to keep yourself going continually whenever you need that little boost.
Or just massive safety margins.
Oh, completely. Yeah. I've never done a downwinder or anything with the Max that I've got off the water and thought, oh, I wish I hadn't used the Max today. It's just
weird, huh?
brilliant every time.
Yeah. I think I'm in very similar responses to everything you just said. without going on and on about it. But yeah, I mean, we designed the Slim and the Max, to give people choice. We very nearly didn't make the Slim. We just thought we'll just go with just the Max. But in doing more and more testing, I could see how much Jamie enjoyed pushing the boundaries with this, and I think you're going to do the same. Be interesting to get your feedback after another month of riding. But they are different things. But I've never been disappointed having used this. And I agree, I can pump that slightly better than this, but my pumping technique is the problem, not the unit. Like when my technique improves or I can go further, I can still pump around, but I'm not like perfectly linking stuff. It's just not there yet. This isn't the problem, it's me. Well, you know, let's be true about it. You know,
expanding on that, this is the unit that will let you improve your pump game quicker, because you'll be on foil for longer, and every time you tire or make a mistake, you pull the trigger, you're picking up your speed, and then you can ollie up again and carry on pumping. So the more you're on foil, the quicker you progress.
Yeah.
So that as a teaching tool is the ultimate. It really
Although,
is.
like a full confession mode, I do pump a lot less when I'm using this, because I know I don't have to. I just ask. Right? When I'm running this, I'm like way more of an effort. Way more of an effort to try and put that energy and effort into it. But as a father, dual use for this is a huge thing for me.
That's true.
You know, like take off my surf assist setup and plonk on a mast and run the long cable or the integrated mast, and then I've got a foil which the kids can just foil around. We call it foil driving. It's not e-foiling, it's foil driving. E-foiling's its own thing, and then there's foil driving, which is super lightweight, interactive board and wing where you can feel everything. And you know, I can give it to my kids and they can literally, at their weight, they can literally foil around for like 2 hours. And they're enjoying the kit that you've spent your hard-earned money on, and then the next day you're off with the boys.
Good way to justify it to the wife.
Yeah, well, you've got to come up with these reasons. You know, like
I'm buying it for the kids.
Yeah, buying it for you, honey.
It's better than a jet ski.
Strap it on the end of your pool. So now you got a lap pool because you can swim into the current of the motor. Yeah, for me, we did a downwinder yesterday where we were literally doing a video, an unboxing of one of these kits. Physically built it onto a board with a mast, a wing, and a tail and a fuselage I've never ridden.
Yeah.
Put it in the water, went out the marina into. It was nuking for that was huge.
Oh, yeah.
That was absolutely nuking. And then did a 15k downwinder. And I wasn't that fussed because I knew that if I had my wing in the wrong spot or the track wasn't the right thing or whatever, it wouldn't really matter because I could just offset all my mistakes with the motor. And I still got to the other end with like 45% or something like that. And I didn't have to worry about it. And I had to get to the airport.
Yeah.
So it was like, no risks being taken here, big battery, thank you. Yeah. I did make it, 10 minutes to spare.
That's pretty
good effort.
To retrieve a wife and kids from an overseas holiday.
Yeah.
So they're the ones you don't want to miss. Risking it for the biscuit.
So another good justification of buying the Assist Max is because it saves a relationship.
Yeah.
Gets you home on time.
Yes.
Yeah. I think when the days that I want a four drive, there's a reason for it. It's fatigue, or there's a huge crowd, or I just want to burn around and tow because the waves are so big, or it's a downwind run where there's a big paddle out sometimes. And if it was my own money, I would buy the Max every time, because I go, they're the days that I'm actually trying. There's a reason I'm using the four-wheel drive, because I ride normal and by four-wheel drive as well. So when I put the four-wheel drive on, it's because there's all these other factors that I'm trying to mitigate to make sure I can stay on four for as long as possible.
Interesting.
That is a very good point.
So I'd always go to the Max because there's a reason I want to be on four for long, or I'm tired, or
Well, I think you're going to be one of those riders that has a problem, which is each system would be amazing to play with.
Really
and there's not going to be that many people who can afford to have both.
No.
But as a team rider, you've got the luxury of doing that. But it's going to be very interesting after another month of heavy use to see if you change that answer or not.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong.
And that's what I mean. Like if I walked into a shop today, it'd be the Max.
Right.
And then if I could buy them in order, it would go Max, then Slim for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to utilise the Slim. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Like we do these 8K downwind runs all the time, and of course I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Like I go brrr, and I'm up, and we get to the end, and we're done.
And conversely, without dropping any secrets, you're planning some monster runs.
Big runs.
Where that will be...
Yeah, I'd definitely take the Max, obviously.
Yeah.
And a big wing.
Yeah.
But that's on a 40 litre prone board, which is a bit sketchy. So
Yeah. Which downwinders and 40 litre prone boards are a normal
no,
string of
they're going to
words.
become normal soon.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be very normal.
Well, I'm not a special rider by any stretch, and I went out yesterday on a 38 litre little prone board and had a friggin' ball. That's if I can do it. There's plenty of people can do it, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And Jamie,
Well, the Max. I mean, I haven't walked reality because of this stuff, because I've been head down for so long building them. I feel like I'm almost... because when we were designing the Slim, I always push pole to try and make the most high performance thing possible. And I always head down doing that, and then I look up and I use the Max every now and then for like whatever reason, filming, practice. And it's so easy to forget that you have like kilowatts of power on tap. So like you'd be worried about using every scrap of energy, and you get really efficient, and you just practice and practice. And because it's been 2 years of us like building this thing, I've gotten really good at just sort of like managing power and using battery only when necessary and and doing that. And that's how I can get away with using these smaller batteries for a lot of different tasks. But when you get on that, it's just like, it's a jet ski. You can power out, like you genuinely I almost ride that as if I'm riding that, and I shouldn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have good enough call to be able to make a call here, because I know I'm not using that to its full potential. Yeah. Just because I try and foil it efficiently.
I do like that analogy. This is like, this one here, you've got to be efficient. It's like you're on a diet. This one here is like you can go to an all-you-can-eat feast and gorge yourself as much food as possible.
Which we have done a couple of times, and I must say, it is horrendously addictive.
Yeah, it is addictive.
It is quite like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and just not caring at all.
But if you had to shell out your own money for one system...
That's a good question, because I think... Although to get like video and cool shots and high performance stuff to do that, I would take a Slim every day of the week. Every day of the week to do that. But I feel like, Dave, you're right. When would you use a foil drive? For me, that's when conditions aren't perfect, a bit windy, a bit choppy. All those days at Middleton where like it's rolling in on straight lines and then it just closes out for no reason. So you can't really get in the pocket and go down the line and do anything like that. The Max, that just chips you up, out the back, kilometre offshore, and you can just ride a bump for ages and then peel off at the end and just motor out and do it again and again and again and again and again. Yeah. So that for me, I reckon I would almost pick the Max.
Are you serious? I wouldn't have picked it.
If I had to plot my money out, if I had to plot my money out and go, here's whatever, take my money, I think I'd pick the Max. Just because I can use my arms for everything I can use foil drive Slim for. Almost. For downwinding and stuff like that, the Slim is amazing because he just chips you up and gets you going. But so does the Max.
Goes to show how non-pre-recorded this is.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have thought that.
Convinced you.
I think you ride such a good game, Dave.
Way more often.
I ride that every time I can.
Yeah, that's what's blown me away.
I ride that every time because it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. It has such good performance, and for surf foiling, there would be no question. No question on surf foiling performance. You just chip into a wave like Yui's little A-frame. You just go left, go right, go whatever. The Slim is go-to.
Yeah, and you do
cool
ride
shots,
that
like
nearly every time.
Fully angled out wingtips out of the water, like that sort of deal. The Slim is amazing.
But
I feel like if I had to pay my own money, like it's a bit of money for me at like 21. I feel like I go to Max just because you can this gigantic battery underneath your feet.
But in those conditions that you're talking about, when it's windy and the surf's blown out, surely you'd be downwinding anyway, and then you'd still be on the Slim. So
what if it's onshore?
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
I think
get a lot of onshore.
I think you've just confused everyone, mate.
I know.
We were going so
a curveball there.
We were going so well, and then you've just confused the shit out of everyone. He does ride that all the freaking time.
Yeah.
So he's lying.
There's no question to what each of them do. You know, like it's quite obvious that this has the size advantage, and if I wanted to paddle into big waves, this is something we were saying the other day, like we've done some good testing, and there'll be some footage out there of me going over some pretty big waves and over the falls as well, like not making every one of them. Having the smaller cross section, when you're going really fast down a wave and you're touching, having a small cross section, like it just sort of drags a bit and then pops back up. With the bigger one, it pumps down, and then quite often you just go over the handlebars.
Yeah, because you're going
fast. Like we're talking 30 k's plus, and the rest all the way up to like free falling out of the sky. So like in that speed bracket, there wouldn't be any question. It's like I would just go to Slim with a tiny battery and just get in as early as possible and then go.
It's a super valid point. Like if you're, again, we keep saying it's like your more performance orientated riders that really can appreciate the reduction in size, which is not only frontal surface area, but also physical length and mass. It makes sense. That's why we went to all the effort of building this thing. It was not easy to make this one. Easier to make this than it was that. Because of the size constraints. But I think those people that can actually explore those performance envelopes.
Oh yeah,
it's freaking epic. I can't wait to be able to use this.
Oh yeah, like if you have a specific break in mind or something, an idea, that's the key.
Yeah, and I'll get there because this will get me massive foil time. And progression will be so much quicker than most people who are just doing it manually.
Oh yeah.
I think people who have very specific conditions, the Slim would. If the Slim fits those conditions, then they wouldn't need the Max. And people who are only going to be wing foiling, as long as they're a reasonable standard, again, the Slim would be the choice if that's all you're doing. Or people maybe who are on a lake and they're doing nothing but dock starting, but they want the option to ride that wake for much, much further. And they're happy to just, once their legs get tired, to just come down in the water wherever they are, and then safe in the knowledge they can pop back up onto foil because of the Slim unit, and then they can carry on pumping, and they are that in tune with their equipment that they will again appreciate and benefit from the Slim. But for pretty much everybody else, I would say that the Max is going to be the sensible choice.
It's a very safe choice.
Yeah.
And we've had no one yet, and there's quite a few people who've ridden them, that has been disappointed in any way having ridden the big one because of its physical attribute in size. I think is the one thing I was trying to get across.
There's not enough downside to the Max to give up the extra power. That's the way I put it.
Yeah. But then the Slim can really reward you when you're at that level where you can really appreciate
and
it.
See what you're saying, like if I'm literally trying to make a surf video for an Axis foil with a foil drive on, well, I will use that. But if there's no camera and I'm there for my enjoyment, not for absolute performance, I'm going to be on the Max.
And as for testing and reviewing foils for their performance, I do prefer the Slim because
you can feel
you can feel the extra weight, and I think even though it's distributed in the perfect position so that you don't have there's virtually no added swing weight or disruption to your performance. The Slim is obviously the better of the two from that point of view. I think
If you had to choose batteries,
yeah.
like if you can only have 3, and I'm going to have 3 every time I go, I personally take 2 of the max powers and 1 of the sports. Why do I do that? Sometimes I'll turn up in the conditions, like downwind up, pretty much always put in the max power. Thank you, done. Never have to worry about it ever again, and I just have an epic run. But over time, as I get better, I know I'm going to drop to the sport because I can, and I'm going to set myself the challenge of I'm going to take 33% of the 50% of the capacity away, and 33% of the capacity away. Dumb maths. And set myself the challenge of making sure I get there on a smaller capacity, which just means I'm going to become a little bit less lazy and pump a bit more and make sure I link it, which is fun. To challenge yourself. And then there'll be other days when I go to the surf and it's like really nice, beautiful wave face and everything's really good. My sweet, straight out there, first session sport pack, slightly lighter, bringing the mass in, and I'm going to spend more time being more aggressive with my turns and also trying to pump and link more waves because the conditions are really nice. But the next day you go out there and there's a bit of a headwind, I'm pumping to that. Drop the motor in, put the max power in and just power through it. So if you had to choose 3 batteries, what would you choose?
3 batteries. I think at the moment I'm the same as you, 2 power and 1 sport, because you do notice that weight difference when you drop down to the sport. I'm perfectly happy to do everything with the power battery, but when you drop down to the sport, it feels like you're on a bit of a turbo because. So the sport, you do get that extra feeling of performance, and you've still got a hell of a long run time. 2 power, because the majority of my foiling will be at this stage anyway. Will be just being trigger happy because it's so much fun. But the ability to have that extra level of performance with the sport is awesome as well.
Same answer.
Same.
I'd start on the sport battery, wear the legs out a bit. Then I'd move to the max.
Exactly.
That's a good plan. I like it.
Going by the fact that I might not be able to have 2, if I could have 2, I would say 2 of these, 2 of the endurance, and 1 of the max. So you get your surf foiling over and done with, and you just burn some electrons in the end of the day. I reckon, because then you get your surf foiling, get into the groove, choose with the battery because you're not really worried too much, and then finish off the day with just some.
Hang on, I thought we were choosing 3 batteries for the same unit.
Yeah,
because
so
if we're going for both,
that's what I said before. If I could have 2,
play fair. Go on.
If I only have 1,
He's wording me up for 2 systems.
exactly. If I could only have 1 system, I already said I'd pick the max because I'd have to fork out my own cash for it. I think I would go. I think I'd go the same. 2 of these and 1 of those, because you get your fix if you're surf foiling.
Exactly.
You'd be sorted, because that'll still last at my weight. I'd almost get an hour, 45 minutes of just straight up e-foiling it.
We can nearly do that on the slim.
Exactly. So then this would just be like, everybody watch out, I'm going to catch every wave with no mercy.
Cool. Well, I think that sums it up pretty well.
Small one.
Hopefully that was helpful. We don't want to make this too much longer. I think there'll be plenty of YouTubers and customers and all that sort of stuff once these things get released, chiming in with their own thoughts. This is just trying to help people make a pre-purchase decision and make it a little easier, hopefully. Because the Assist Plus wasn't sort of like one system. No choice to really make there. So we understand that there is a choice to be made here and it becomes a little trickier. But I think with the options that you have for each unit, you're going to have more diversity than the Assist Plus had. So either way you go, you're going to have more diversity to play with. And the Gen 2 really is moving out of that preconceived idea that these are for people that are learning. This is not the case. Like there's some legit foilers globally that are going to be on these things having a freaking ball because they recognise that it's just a piece of equipment that enhances the foiling experience. You know, and that the stigma has just gone. See it, like anyone that tries that on clearly hasn't ridden it,
Hasn't tried it.
and doesn't like fun. So good luck.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Before we go, would you like to make a mention of motor lengths?
Oh gosh, now we're
I know I think it's pretty straightforward. Like, I would just go to 15 flat and straight, no worries. Fast, up out of the water and go.
I use 15 centimetres for downwinding, and I use a 20 centimetre for just that hybrid surf foiling.
Yeah.
Because you can just, with the 15, you can still just sort of keep the board out of the water and get it, but if it's chopped up, a bit windy, or whatever, the 20 centimetre motor just allows me to effortlessly drop the motor back into the water, hit boost, and just cruise along the surface and then pop back up, which is good for surfing, wake thieving, pump practice, all that sort of stuff. I think, to be honest, if you're going to all this effort of getting a system, an extra motor is really, or even just an extra stator on its own, is not that expensive. Having the 15 and the 20 for me allows me to tune my gear just like I tune my wing and my tail and my fuselage and my mast and my board. We're all addicted to stuff. So 15 and a 20 for me. And an integrated mast with the motor at the base for some just foil driving with me and the kids.
Motoring.
Just that foil drive, just cruising around. So I'd have to have 3 because I'm a dad.
And then you may as well have a 25 just because...
No, because I think why wouldn't I have a 25? Because I've got past that point in my foiling career where I'm very good at controlling the height of my board.
Yeah.
People that use a 25 and they're learning will love the extra length.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's sort of almost mid-mast.
I was on the 25 for ages and ages.
Just easy.
And for me, it was, it just made everything easier.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until quite recently, actually, when I came here, that out of necessity I had to use 20s. And that forced me to up my game and get a little bit more sort of precise with my board, my pitch, basically. And now I wouldn't go back to the 25 because the 20 keeps the motor pod, even though it doesn't make that much difference when the motor pod dips in. When you get better, you notice these subtleties more and more and more. So now I much prefer the 20 because it means that it still gives me a nice margin for error of keeping the props in the water. But the motor pod is out of the water for the vast majority of the time, no matter what I'm doing. I'm not ready for the 15 yet. I've tried it a few times, and it just bugs me that the motor is out of the water too often.
You've got to be very precise with that. Or if you're just using it for just assist, it's fine. Take off.
Yeah, definitely.
But once you start doing that hybriding,
it's not often that I use it just as an assist.
And you'll find out more when you use them, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, the way I run my pod currently is I run it as high as I possibly can. I'd go 10 centimetres, 8 centimetres if I could. So I'm obsessed with how high I can get it up. But that's because I do pump a lot. Like I'm still linking 5-10 waves under my own legs and then still motoring around when I want to. So
you can run a little bit higher with just a base plate because this makes just a little bit of like dirty water / air behind it. We'd have had to run at like 15 rather than like a 12. But it is what it is and you still get around it fine.
Shannon was running his. He slammed his. He was just using it, and he had the cable just like looped at. Just not designed to do that, but you can do it. And but as he said, it didn't matter because he's never touches down hardly anyway. So you can do that.
But if you get it too close to the board, then it disturbs the water flow going into the pod.
Yeah, there's practical limits with everything, but I think that'll cover most people. So that's it. I think
I got to go to the airport.
Yeah, you do. Legitimately.
Literally got a plane to catch.
That's it. Yeah, thanks for listening. If there's something we haven't covered, put it in the comments. That's it.
Somebody will reply.
Let us know, and we'll do. I think there's going to be a whole different video about boards.
Bunch of videos coming from me. You guys. Dom, if you get time.
I'm sure we'll do some videos.
There's no doubt there.
Jamie,
absolutely.
You can do some videos.
Yeah, I might punch out a Foil Drive review. How about that?
Thanks for joining.
Cool.
what you see is what you get. There's no smoke and mirrors.
No, exactly.
It's all legit. And we have fun on the water and make a choice. If you can't make a choice, you have to buy both.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
Still cheap. No, I won't say that.
All right, peace. Cheers.
See ya.